Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Brandon Crow watching from Hockey Canada. Writes in and he says, my wife and her two sisters all played NCAA Division I hockey. They attribute it to waiting around that chute as kids and using those prairie oysters as hockey puck. Shooting them for the dog. Here's
Bingo!
one. All the raw testicles that I collected one day, I put them in a margarine container. Remember the old Imperial margarine that had the purple crowns around it? I put them all in there, and I took them to a party, a bush party. You've been there, Moose. You weren't at that one, but you've been to them. And I was going to cook them. I was going to cook them and make people eat them and not tell them what they were till after. But it didn't matter because Philip Kenyon took one, popped it in his mouth, crunched it raw. And he was smiling, and the blood ran down.
And he knew what it was?
I will never forget. He knew what it was. Philip Kenyon.
That was Fear Factor before there was Fear Factor with Joe Rogan.
I know. Beer might have been involved. But the next time that we're driving to Montana, I'll show you exactly where it is, because a lot of stuff went down at that site. A lot of stuff. I'm not going to go any further, but just remind me later. I'll tell you about the bikers that were on their way back from Sturgis from the rally that stopped at our party.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a fan of Patrick Roy are you? I'm an 11 out of 10. And the literal translation of Roy is king. Part of the reason I love him so much is that we are very similar. And my guess is the book on Patrick Roy would be very similar to what the book is on me. He's uncontrollable. My dad would be proud of that fact.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome inside the RP Show studio. It's what we call a Football Friday, and there is a lot of football to get to, but that's not the big story. I'm one half of the show, RP. The other half joins us from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. It's funny, you put the lid on, Moose. Did you just I feel like you weren't wearing that earlier when I saw you. You having a bad hair day, or what's up with the DuPont Media hat?
Yeah, I wasn't wearing it in our morning meeting, but been wearing it for the last little bit. I don't know. Felt like it's been a while. And it didn't feel like going through the work on a Friday to put the hair together. We're already into the weekend, RP.
You know, it's funny is we are on quite this similar vibration, Darren, and I always have been. And it's like we're all dragging our butts a little bit. It was a late night watching hockey going to overtime. You know, it's just that Friday dragging your butt onto the air and getting ready for the weekend type deal.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all feeling the same. Everybody's just a little tired today, but largely very happy. Jim Barker will be with us in hour 2, our usual Football Friday guest. And I think, guys, you can hit the quick 6 show horn and we'll get right down to business. Let's get down to business. I had to move the rack around behind me a little bit, so I apologize if it just feels a little weird. I shouldn't have touched everything, but I did that interview with the New York Post yesterday. We're going to talk about that later, and Global Toronto. I shouldn't have moved things around. But they all want to know how Canada's feeling today, because Connor McDavid's overtime goal lifted Canada to a 3-2 victory over the USA in last night's Four Nations face-off final in Boston. Goalie Jordan Bennington made key saves in overtime before McDavid buried a Mitch Marner pass to seal the win. The matchup unfolded amid political tensions, with Canadian players embracing the moment as a win for the country. And that's why, trust me, we'll get to football, but if everybody's noticed, they're not playing football now. This is what everybody's talking about. And there is a distinct difference. There's going to be fighting today, okay, amongst our viewers. I can sense it. I don't like it, but I know that there will be, because I'm going to give my opinions on all these. Darren's going to give his, And I hope by the end of this whole thing in 2 hours' time, we can all hold hands and go into the weekend feeling good about everything. But for one, have had a lot of messages from U.S. friends. Here's an example. Digital Dean watches this every day in Green Bay. And he writes in, he says, congrats to Canada on a hard-earned win. Could have done without the booing of the opposition anthem at both venues, but the on-ice performance by both squads was great. My friend Chris from the Bronx, I won another bet against Chris. He always bets me. Canada won. That was my rooting interest. That's who I picked to win. So I get another chicken sandwich from PDQ. But he said, I'm glad Canada won. I'll be honest. I feel like the Americans, the USA, Trump aside, at least our viewers in the States are they're taking this very classily. They're all saying congratulations that you won, blah, blah, blah. Had the States won, there wouldn't have been any of that. There would not have, I'm confident in saying, there would not have been that coming from Canada. So even Clark said today, everybody in Canada's popping champagne, corks still from last night, and the Canadian, it's good. I guess more than anything, because trust me, we're going to get to the Gretzky stuff here and the Chantal Krejciak stuff. We're going to get to all that, so just hang on. But do I have the mood? Do I have the temperature right, Moose? What's your read on things?
Yeah, everybody's celebrating. They're still popping champagne, or they're just waking up, and it was a late night, and then the partying and all the rest. Because look, for a lot of people, this was more than hockey, because of we talked about the perfect storm of what was going on politically and the talk of the 51st state and all the rest. And this was just a moment, I think a lot of Canadians said, look, you can have that conversation, but we're going to push back. And we put our pride into our hockey team, and our hockey team had our back. And I think a lot of that makes Canada feel pretty good that we're not just going to roll over as a country and let the U.S. make us the 51st state. Whether it was a hockey game that has nothing to do with politics that represented that or not, everybody bought into that, and feeling pretty good today.
Yeah, one thing, this is the 1439th episode of this show. If there's one thing that we've learned in that time, you're not going to be successful telling other people how to act or what to think. So, hey, everybody do what you want to do. But I don't like the fighting. I do enjoy the funny memes going around. Chris in Heidelberg, Ontario writes in, he says, of all the guys to leave open in the slot in overtime, thank you, Austin Matthews. I'd love to see a 7-game series. I'd love to see a 7-game series of that hockey. Wow. Producer Clark made a really good comment about how this thing ended. He said the best player in the world, Connor McDavid, beat the best goalie in the world, Connor Hellebuck. If you're cheering for Canada, that's a great ending. If you wanted Canada to win, you couldn't draw it up any better than what it was. I don't feel the political tie-in between the two. I don't. And the other thing is, I saw people, our friend Kevin the Medium, watching in Calgary every day, says, I saw him put on Facebook, this Canada needed this win, something along the lines of to feel good about themselves. And I've never really understood that. But I'll go along with it because I know that it is a thing. If it's going to make a country that's upset or hurting in some way, the result of a sporting event is going to make you feel better, then I'm all for it. I'm not sure I am that way, but if people are, then good for them. But so to point two, this is where it gets ugly. Chantal Krejciak. I'm not writing this, by the way. The wire service is the Associated Press. Chantal Krejciak was loudly booed while performing "O Canada" before the Four Nations Face-Off final in Boston. The Winnipeg-born singer changed the lyrics in All of Us Command to That Only Us Command in protest of U.S. President Donald Trump's comments about making Canada the 51st state. Krejciak later said the reaction didn't faze her at all. So there's that. Wayne Gretzky is just getting destroyed. And I understand when fans want to do it, the public. But Ken Campbell, writer for the Hockey News, I don't know if you saw his tweet. I know you were busy yesterday and last night. He just goes, Gretzky can support whoever he wants relating to his friendship with Donald Trump, but having him be the honorary captain for Team Canada is just tone deaf. And I'll say this again. I'm here focusing on a hockey game. Wayne Gretzky walks onto the ice with the banner representing Team Canada. They're mad he wasn't wearing red and white because Mike Eruzione was the USA captain. He was wearing a USA jersey. Wear what you want. Cheer for who you want. I got way too much respect for Wayne Gretzky more than anything to say anything untoward about him. I feel bad for the guy. I do. How are you on Gretzky and Krevyazik and how this hockey tournament has devolved into such muck? I really don't like that.
Yeah, I don't either. Gretzky could have done something Canadian. I mean, I wish he would have maybe wore something. Sure, old jacket or a, whatever. Jersey, who cares? But his actions don't really bother me because Wayne is he's not just Canada's hockey legend. He is hockey's ambassador. He is hockey's face. All over the world, Wayne Gretzky is still that. He makes his home in the U.S. He's on one of the flagship U.S. networks covering the game of hockey, one of the premier voices in the United States. He was largely instrumental in growing the game in the U.S., in the markets he played in L.A. and in New York and in St. Louis. He is that. So when he comes out, he realizes, look, American fans look up to him too. The American players, they see him all the time. So yeah, he gave a couple of the American guys the thumbs up because he's hockey's ambassador at the end of the day. So he wants everybody to play well and he wants to have relationships with everybody. He could have done something to be like, hey, maybe went by and high-fived the Canadians. I don't know what he could have done to say, hey, I am hockey's guy, but I'm Canada first. But that's really nitpicking. I never really have an issue with what Wayne does.
No, me either. Oh, my God. I kind of feel bad for Wayne. He's been under the microscope with so much pressure for so long, and people like that. Joshua Dorr writes in, he says, what's going on, Rod? Joshua Dorr lives here in South Florida, and he was a witness to the very intense Sports Exchange podcast I was on last night, hosted by the South Florida Tribune. Shy in Saskatchewan writes, and he says, Canada is not hurting, more disgusted with the U.S., and that also is fair. I misspoke. I'm not in Canada right now, so I can't speak for how you're all feeling. This is what I see. Hurting, we've had times where we've been hurting as a nation. This isn't that with what Trump's doing. So I get that. I misspoke. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, congratulations, Canada, on a great overtime win. Bomber Boy says, Canada should disown Wayne Gretzky. Absolute embarrassment. Producer Clark has written in and says, Mario didn't wear anything Canadian at the game in Montreal. Rich in Edmonton says he was appearing on a U.S. network. He wasn't going to pull out his 87 Canada Cup jersey.
How about that?
So, all I'll say about this, because Serena and I talked about this with Gretzky. There's photos of Gretzky all over our house. And obviously, she's the biggest Gretzky fan ever. Let's remember something. Number one, he'll be fine. The NHL loves him. The fans love him. And no, he's not going to be disowned by Canada. If you want to have a beef with Wayne Gretzky, that is your choice. Wayne will be fine. But let's remember, he was traded out of Edmonton and didn't want to be in 1988. He has been a U.S. citizen pretty much ever since. I'm really bad at math, but something strikes me that's close to 40 years. And he's a citizen of both countries. He supported Donald Trump. I don't want to scoop myself, but I think he's friends with Donald Trump, whatever. Just like Ovechkin's friends with Putin, and people get mad at him for that. We used to have a saying, I was raised with this, don't judge a man by his wife. And maybe women have the same things. I don't know what the women's sayings. Don't judge a woman by her husband. Makes sense, right? You're going to hold Gretzky responsible for this stupid stuff that Donald Trump's doing? I don't support what Trump's doing. I hate it. I went on a monologue yesterday. You didn't see it, but I did. I hate everything that Donald Trump is doing. I don't support him. I don't hate him. I don't know him. Okay, I don't know him, but I don't like what he's doing. But what I will say with Gretzky, and Serena said, he's friends with the president of the country. How is that necessarily a bad thing? In all my years in Saskatchewan, which was a long time, I was very good friends with the premiers. Probably the closest with the current premier, Scott Moe. And it helped. I wasn't friends with Scott to get something out of him, but I'll tell you this. This administration under Scott Moe in Saskatchewan spent more on mental health and addiction recovery than any other government in the history of Saskatchewan, and I was deeply involved in that. So being friends with your political leaders, and Scott's also a Saskatchewan farmer like I was, we click. The Gretzky and Trump, why are they friends? I don't know. But do you see what I'm saying? Darren, don't judge a man by his wife. Don't judge a man by who his friends are. I don't, but I don't know how many people will live by that motto.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, everybody will make their own opinions on that. And I separate the two. Do I, know what's going on there or understand? No. Do I like Donald Trump? No. But, I love Wayne Gretzky. And so if he's friends there's probably a reason. Do I like all of your friends? I don't know. Don't know all of your friends. Maybe not. Doesn't make me change my opinion of you, So we move on. I like Wayne Gretzky, and I always will, I think.
Utah Darren writes in and says, what a great game. What is with all the Gretzky stuff? Enjoy a great win. Oh, I agree. But there are also those that aren't happy unless they're unhappy. So Utah Darren makes a great point. Your country won. Shut up. If I can paraphrase what you're saying, Utah Darren. James Zylstra writes in, he says, sounds like Trump is gaslighting things in this world. No, he is, and he's not the only one, and I don't like that behavior. That's why I'm not in favor of Donald Trump. John writes in, he says, I feel Gretzky is a great ambassador for hockey, but not for the politics of Canada. He was great on the ice. Off the ice, a bit of a distraction, in my opinion. Well, again, some can separate that, some cannot. And I say it again, I feel bad for Wayne Gretzky. There's just so much. You talk about damned if you do, damned if you don't type thing. Shy in Saskatchewan says, don't judge a man by his color, is the old saying. Not where I'm from, Shy. It was don't judge a man by his wife. Thank you, please and thank you.
How about that?
I don't judge anybody, as a matter of fact, because I don't like to be judged. There's also that. But anyways, Brady in Saskatoon writes in, he says, hey, Rod, Benner showed up and showed out. Coming up clutch with multiple big-time saves, leading to McJesus finishing the job for all of Canada. We have less than a minute here, and we'll continue this, but switch it over to football next segment. But how concerned are you if you're the Winnipeg Jets? Your goalie does not win the big ones. You're not concerned?
No, but he did everything he needed to do to give him a chance to win. And we do need to carry this into the next segment because we haven't talked about Bennington or McDavid, or Marner even for that matter. But when it comes to Hellebuck, no, he did more than enough. He answered the bell. He was great. I don't fault him for that goal against the best player in the world in like the number one scoring position on the ice, right in the slot. And he beat him with a clean shot, one, quick snap release up over the shoulder. No. The Americans had 3 or 4 chances to win that game, and Hellebuck did his part last night. It's unfortunate, but that was a good goal. I don't fault him for.
This is exactly what we wanted when we started this show 6 seasons ago, to be the view for sports fans, talking about the issues of the day. And trust me, I don't want to talk about Wayne Gretzky as it relates to this, but that's what people are talking about. But we also have NFL notes, spring training notes, CFL notes, Jim Barker coming up in hour 2, and a very hot baseball topic is our poll question, which we'll get to when we return. It's been a late night for everybody, so we're just throwing our ideas on the table here on the RP Show. Game Plus Television, Canada and USA. We're on in both countries today, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts.
sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, the RP show continues. La-di-da-da-da. It may take weeks, months, or even years to get the call to be a stem cell donor. Saving lives takes commitment and dedication, just like being a hockey player. Give hope to patients in Canada. Register online at blood.ca/get-swabbed and spread the word amongst your family and friends. And Hour 1 is brought to you by Culligan Water. Drink clean, live green, filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit culliganregina.com. Moose, I'm not anywhere near done. I'm not even close to done with the hockey. But take a few hard pulls on that, because I got a couple football notes. People did show up. People did show up for football talk today because it's normally Football Friday. But if you've noticed, there's no football going on right now. But I got 3 items. Zach Martin is retiring after a decorated career that included 7 All-Pro seasons at right guard with the Dallas Cowboys. Martin informed Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones of his decision in a meeting Thursday. The 34-year-old didn't make it through his 11th and final season with the Cowboys last year because of injury. Too bad they couldn't win more for him, because he's a warrior, as Dave Ritchie used to say. Chicago Bears coach Ben Johnson is set to go into his first season with a staff of 28 assistants. That's more than one coach for every position on the floor. The list includes new offensive and defensive coordinators Declan Doyle and Dennis Allen, who were hired last month. Special teams coordinator Richard Hightower was one of 8 assistants retained by former coach Matt Eberflus's staff. Quarterbacks coach Kerry Joseph was not retained. And the University of Texas approved a raise and contract extension for football coach Steve Sarkisian on Thursday after the Longhorns advanced to the college football playoff semis for the second consecutive season. The new deal extends Sark's contract by 1 year through the 2031 season. It raises his salary this year from $10.4 million to $10.8. Annual raises will push his salary to $12.3 million by the final year. So there's some football notes there. How closely are you following the National Football League here in a big hockey week?
Yeah, not as much as I normally would. I mean, they're in their off season now too, and it's going to get quiet for a little bit. Everybody's going to take their vacations and do their things, but little business to take care of. And, you know, the Sark news, interesting, extending there and getting the little bump and raise, because his name started to float when it came to NFL openings in this cycle. And I wonder if it'll come up again next year, you know, and if he decides to take that jump, you know, if he decides that he's done, you know, what he can do in college football. I'm sure he wants to get Texas to a national championship first and win one, and then maybe make the jump as a head coach. But that was an interesting one, but he stays in Texas, and obviously his ties to the CFL, we follow him pretty closely.
You really wonder if the Longhorns will win. We're all very excited with Arch Manning going to be under center next year for the Longhorns. They might become my favorite team. I'll be watching all there. I don't care about Alabama anymore. For whatever reason, I don't. What have they done for me lately? But you wonder if they'll win a national championship in Texas, in Austin, before Sark's gone. And if he does go to the NFL, he's coached in the NFL before, Oakland Raiders, OC, but or he might have been a position coach there. Either way, if he wants to be in the NFL, he'll be in the NFL. You just wonder what success he might have. Nick Saban did not have NFL success. Urban Meyer did not have NFL success. It's a long list of guys that have not. So we'll be watching that with interest. George Baburis, watching from here in South Florida, says, looking good, Rod. Congrats on the Canada win. Thank you. See, I don't know what it is. I don't know that the Canadian fan, I do know that the Canadian fans would not be as gracious in defeat. Maybe that's just because they care more about hockey than the Americans. I legitimately say that. I think there's a case to be made for that. And before we dip into the Progressive Insurance text line at 902-518-3033, James in Manitoba writes in and he says, question, will Connor Bedard be in the next Canada tournament? Well, I'll say no because it's only next year. I don't think so. I could have thrown you under the bus, mister, because I still have the meme. Something you said it's a no-brainer that Bedard will be on Team Canada. Remember saying that? We made it into a meme.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That?
That's the idea, right? I'm learning this hot take game and trying to get in there and get spicy and say things that, you know, if you want to keep receipts, I got no problem with that. But you know, I wonder if he'll be on there. I think there'll be tweaks. Like, it's just coming up in February. It's not even, I mean, it's 1 year away, but they're going to name that team before this year is out, I'm sure. Like, you know, sometime maybe in December or maybe even in January. But Bedard may or may be on that team. He might be. You know, you wonder about guys like Tom Wilson. Will he be on that team? You know, they're going to make some changes on the back end probably. You hope some guys are healthy. Maybe. Now the big question that I have, forget about Connor Bedard, Rod. What do you do in goal? Everybody was crying that it wasn't Logan Thompson in net and Marc-Andre Fleury and Darcy Kemper, because those are the best three goalies, and we got the three wrong guys. And then Jordan Binnington cements his legacy last night because winning cups is great too, but then you do it internationally, and that kind of cements things too, or you win multiple cups, right? Jordan Binnington in that overtime, he saved the game 3 different times, maybe more. And I was saying to people around me when that happened, I'm like, those saves mean nothing to his legacy if Canada doesn't win. If Canada loses, we're going to forget all about Binnington with these saves. But the fact that they scored, Binnington, he took his legacy to the next level. And now, is he not your starting goaltender for Italy in February? I think he kind of has to be.
Probably. John Ohm writes in, he says, I will bet you lunch, Rod, that Connor Bedard will be on Team Canada in the Olympics. You're on, John, and it has to be at Hooters on Milt Steele Drive in Winnipeg.
Did you hear they're filing for bankruptcy?
Rich in Edmonton.
that restaurant or the whole chain?
I saw a note, the whole chain. It was sent to my DMs. I'm like, uh-oh.
How does Hooters go bankrupt?
They shouldn't, ever.
Fake news.
Hot damn.
Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, I don't know, Rod, and kind of like to see Bedard playing with better players than the sewage he's with now. Vince in Manitoba says, if Bedard steps up his game, I am sure they will want him in there. Here's the one thing where we really lack as a society is the ability to debate, but also absorb or even consider or accept other people's opinion. I told you people there was no way Bedard was going to be on Team Canada, and he was not. The tournament is 1 year from now. Is he going to learn to play defense in a year? No, he's not. Right now, he doesn't even try. And this is not a playoff series. This is a very fast tournament, a 4-game tournament. A Connor Bedard defensive lapse could cost you the tournament. Probably a pretty big reason why he wasn't on this team. So why would he be on next year's team? And furthermore, I'm really good, always have been good at blocking out the bunk when it comes to hockey because I know. I saw how I feel and I think the way, like John Cooper is the best coach on the planet. I said it last week. So people are talking about the line combinations. I won't name. Why is Bennington starting? Why is this? Why that? John Cooper knows, okay? Dave Cameron had to bench Bedard in the World Juniors because of his lack of defensive play that hasn't gotten any better. I'm sorry. Before we move on, but what you guys can all say what you want to say, but you're not going to change my mind on that. Now, in a year's time, if he's named, come on back and rub my face in it. I'm okay with it. But this is how I feel. Have I convinced you yet?
Well, I think about the defensive play and, I think that, he'll probably get that side of his game going a bit and playing for Canada is a little different than playing for a team that is not going to make the playoffs in Chicago and be that competitive right now. We talked about that. But I'm watching that overtime and I'm sitting there being like, yeah, you got to shorten the bench. There's guys out here right now, and we're talking about the best of the best, like the 1% of the 1%. And I'm like, that guy can't be on the ice because you got to get the puck out of your zone every single time. This is overtime. One mistake and you're done against the best players in the world. Like, I think about Kyle Connor, best goal scorer, NHL, on the U.S. roster, most goals, one of the best players in the world, couldn't crack the lineup last night, was a healthy scratch. That's how elite this tournament was, and best on best is, and what it's going to be like in the Olympics. When those players, the best players, can't crack the lineup, you have to be able to take care of things defensively. I was a little nervous with Thomas Harley last night with some of his play defensively, but he ended up making them. Cale Makar continues to be the best player defensively I've ever seen. But yeah, we'll see. Bedard will be very, very interesting.
George here in Florida writes in and he says, McDavid slammed that shot like Ovechkin. Great moment for the guy. BW in Edmonton says Hooters should be a sponsor of the RP show. Bro, your lips to God's ears. The Barflies writes in and says, Shifley, the biggest omission off Team Canada. You guys aren't getting it. They won. There were no omissions. They didn't make any mistakes. If Canada loses, you can sit here and bang on them for a year. You can't say a damn thing about what they did with this roster, nor the way John Cooper coached the team. You can't. Please. And that's the one thing with football where I can be led. And I don't like that. Darren played it. Darren coached it. I don't know if you refed it. Football. I never stepped on the field of play in any of those things with football. I learned a lot about it along the way, but I don't know it like I know hockey. And that bothers me. That's why I'm getting tugged into these, that people want me to do certain sports here in Florida. I'm like, I only want to do hockey. That's all I want to do
It's like Dunk with football. Anybody know that he could have been the Raptors reporter for TSN, but he said, no, I want to do football. I respect the hell out of that. And that's why these U.S. viewers have tuned in, because we're talking hockey here, because it's number one for us. And I apologize on a Football Friday that we are, but what the hell else is going on? Which is another thing. Jeremy in Winnipeg writes in, he says, Sebastian Casa equals Canada's Carey Price. Well, Darren just said it. Why would you not come back with Jordan Bennington as your goalie? Sebastian Casa he didn't even play in Detroit, let alone for Team Canada. What are you talking about? This is a year away. Why would you not go with the same roster? Sid's going to play. Of course he's going to play. What changes would you envision, Darren?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I would think changes will happen. Potentially on the blue line, like you hope Pietrangelo gets back. Forget we were without Josh Morrissey last night. He'll probably be there. I imagine, maybe some tweaks. But then I look at some of the guys who we think might come off, Konechny, some of the bottom guys, right? Or, we think of Cirelli or guys like that, Hagel, whatever. But they all had big moments. Bennett, big goal last night. Cirelli in overtime came out in the offensive zone, won 2 clean draws back to back that led to great scoring chances. We almost won. Like, there's a reason these guys are on the team. As you said, John Cooper has everybody on here for a reason. The way he handled Mitch Marner in this tournament, from playing him with McDavid to then, and he scored the OT winner against Sweden, to moving him down to the 4th line after a bad game against the States, and then getting him back in offensive situations, back with McDavid, moving him around. And then he ended up setting up the tournament winning goal. He'll be back on the team, no doubt. I mean, maybe I make some changes behind Jordan Bennington. Logan Thompson probably is the one guy. I said before the tournament he should have been there. He probably comes in as a backup. Those types of things. But I mean, maybe Tom Wilson for an extra guy in the press box in case you need some more grit. Those types of changes, but nothing crazy.
All Aiden Hill and Sam Montembeault did was open the damn door. If that's all we're talking about for number 2 and 3 for the Olympics, you and I could go to wherever the hell it is.
How about that?
John Ohm says, let's be honest. Last night's game could have gone either way. But it didn't. If the bear hadn't stopped to take a dump, he might have caught the rabbit. But guess what? He didn't. Let's sit here and talk about what might have happened, because it didn't. Canada won. John Cooper has nothing to apologize for, nor does Jordan Bennington or any of these guys. So stop it. It's the USA that should be doing the navel-gazing today. We'll be right back. We got Jim Barker coming up in hour 2. We're live on the Game Plus television network, streaming live as well, and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are.
Live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house. Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage. And at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
We got some good stuff coming. Big shots, big shots. By the way, Overtime Hockey Lanes is the place to go if you have a kid in your house who's hockey obsessed and also has a winter birthday. Check them out at 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. RP Show endorsed. Where's my bell? Sports update. Moose is all in on this, and a lot of Canada can bring the Moose on in. Heavy Gym Sports update. The championship round of the Scotties Tournament of Hearts begins in Thunder Bay, Ontario. Today, Rachel Homans, Team Canada rink, faces Nova Scotia's Christina Black, while Manitoba's Carrie Anderson meets Alberta's Kayla Skurlik. Winners advance to Saturday's 1-2 page playoff. The losers play tonight against BC's Corinne Brown and Ontario's Daniel Inglis. The sports update is for Heavy Gym. Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. Just back to our commentary about last night's Canadian win over the USA, 3-2 in overtime to win the Four Nations face-off. Jeremy in Winnipeg writes in, he says, John Cooper's got a set of balls to ride with Binnington, knowing his struggles. Yeah, he does. I'll repeat it again. Put it on the wall. John Cooper is the greatest coach on the planet. I don't care what nation we're talking about. Big balls, man. Lord hates a coward. I don't understand why people don't understand, Darren, the concept of picking your people and sticking with them. It's called empowering them. Workplace, home life, hockey team, football. Believe in people. You should try it, folks. It's amazing how it works. What's on your mind, Moose, before I completely switch gears?
Well,
anything?
On that, I mean, people are just afraid to put themselves out there and actually, take the risk that you might lose and do the right thing. They'll want to sit back. This is a bit of an issue in the world today. We want to sit back, not take a risk or put yourself out there, commit too much, sit back, and then point fingers and laugh at people when it doesn't go their way. If Canada had lost, they'd have been pointing fingers. Oh, Binnington sucks. Marner sucks. This guy sucks. That guy sucks. And don't tell me you wouldn't, because you would. My DMs are full of that stuff, right? People wanting to laugh when they lose. But nobody wants to sit there and say, hey, this is a great pick. That's a great pick. And tell me what you would do, And so John Cooper sticks with his guys. It's the same thing when people are at games. Your team's down 4-1. They leave. I'm turning this off. It's over. because you don't want to sit there and be there when they lose, but you're also not going to be there when the comeback happens and they win. Everybody's so quick to judge. Just be patient. Trust the process. Trust your people.
Yeah.
You know, have faith that the people you picked in these positions are going to do the job. And if they don't, hey, that happens. Then you make changes for the next time. You know, but enough of laughing in people's faces when you have all the hindsight in the world to judge a decision.
Teddy Roosevelt, man in the arena. Look it up. Chris Pronger, Sunday night, put on Twitter. You probably saw that, laughing at all the broken ankles across Canada. People jumping off the bandwagon. I didn't. It was in my weekend newsletter, which, by the way, folks, the 10 Things Weekend newsletter, you can sign up for free at rodpeterson.com. You get Moose's column as well. I said there was no big loss to the USA Saturday night, 3-1, regroup, fix the mistakes, go out and win the game that matters on Thursday. It's exactly what I said. And that's with Cooper. I don't know. We aren't going to change people, Darren, just so you know. You and I aren't. But you hope that they're paying attention. I mean, look, I came down here to Florida 4 years ago. I knew one person. One freaking person in the whole state, Serena, one. I didn't know any of those Panthers people. I didn't know any of the media people. I didn't know anybody about anybody. I didn't know any of the recovery people. I knew one person, Serena, and that's the God's honest truth. And built this all up. And yesterday I was on the New York Post. Yesterday they interviewed me about hockey. And what the funny thing about that is Brandon London, the former CFL, NFL receiver, runs the digital content department for the New York Post. He told me when we did that interview yesterday, he goes, hey, Rod, my editor said, who are we going to get to talk about this hockey game? Brandon's like, I know one guy. Called you. People are going to be sitting there going, how come he gets to be on the New York Post? Because he had the sack to go to Florida and become the hockey guy down there. And it's interesting because I'm going on Global this afternoon. They just emailed me. I'm like, why is there nobody else? Now I'm going to have to go home and shave. I was trying to have this Friday, you know, you got your hat on. I didn't shave. Pulled my headphones. But all I'm saying is take a risk. You might lose, you might win, but at least you tried. Brian in Hudson's Bay writes in. He says, way more on the Progressive Insurance text line, 902-518-3033. Brian in Hudson's Bay. He says, I'm not an expert on player talent, but for me, Mark Stone seems to be too slow to play at that high of a level. Got some older guys up front that foot speed seem to be a problem at times, and they won't be any faster in a year from now. But like I said, I'm no expert, just your ordinary, everyday fan. That's right, and I think this probably underscores the fact that Canadian hockey people know what they're doing. Write that down, too, and put it on the wall. They actually know what they're doing. Can you believe that? I'm not even going to ask for your opinion, Darren, because it's so patently obvious that they don't need to be criticized for who they picked for this team because they won the damn thing. Stop it. And on the Sarkisian thing, Brian from Hudson's Bay also writes in and he says, I guess Sarkisian owes Roy Shivers some more money now. LOL. That's the one thing that really bothers me, and I got to get over it. But even the Rider fans don't know the history. And that's Shiza used to keep me up at night. Steve Sarkisian didn't even know Roy Shivers. Didn't play for him. Sark left after the 99 season. Trust me, I was there. That, by the way, Darren, will be the title of my book. I was there. Didn't even know Shiver. He quit because he had such a terrible time with the previous regime in Saskatchewan. He quit and started his coaching career. Shivers came in after and brought in Danny Barrett. And Dan Farthing called Sark. He was coaching at some community college in California. He goes, you got to get your ass up here. You would like the offense we're running here under Danny Barrett. Sark's like, don't call me again. I don't think he regrets it. Getting $10.6 million this year to coach the Texas Longhorns. See you in hour 2, Moose. What do you say?
All right. I'll see you there.
All right. Biggest Longhorns fan there. Matthew McConaughey. It is a football Friday. We're weaving and pinballing back and forth, giving you a tremendous show here on Game Plan. You're free. You're welcome. It's free. on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
(902-518-3033). Progressive Insurance text line as we come at you live from the studio, Boca Raton, Florida. I know it blows people's minds. You can be watching the global national news tonight across Canada. You'll see me in this studio. I'm going back and forth with their producer, Jacob, right now in the break. He goes, "Where is your studio, by the way?" Boca Raton, Florida. Don't ask. Just talking about why John Cooper's successful, or any coach that coaches the way he does. Rich in Edmonton writes in and says, "Bingo, Rod. Showing faith in your people pays dividend."
Bingo!
Can we get a yeah? Brent here in Wellington, Florida writes in and by the way, thank you for opening your home to me last night. Wonderful meal that we had and watched the game there. Brent in Wellington, Florida says, PK Subban was on ESPN at 8 a.m. today wearing the same suit as last night. I'd say there was some serious sellies happening in Boston.
Approved.
It's funny because Johnny O texted me this morning from Johnny O's gymnasium, another guy that I didn't know until I got here. And he was like, Rod, this analyst, PK Subban, this morning was saying that Sidney Crosby, that's the way Johnny O talks, by the way, who's from Boston. He says, saying that Sidney Crosby's top 3 all time. I've never heard anybody say that. That's the way Johnny talked. And I wrote him back. I said, PK's too young to have watched anybody else, Johnny. He's like, well, he should know the game. Way it is now. So we need to get over this stuff. But for the people with a little more experience, older, who would you put in the top 3 in the NHL? Or Howe Gretzky? That's it. But maybe we are overlooking Sid. He's certainly got more Stanley Cups than Bobby Orr. Just saying. Got 3. Olympic gold, 4 Nations face-off, couple of Olympic gold. Dag nabbit, maybe he's right. George here in Florida writes in and he says, best part in sports is seeing haters proven wrong. Look at Anthony playing in Spain for Real Betis now. Did I say that right? I'm not a soccer guy. And trust me, I never will be. The one thing that bothers me is when the teams do win, there's still haters. Yeah, but. Pipe down. Tony from Cochrane writes in and says, John Cooper for Prime Minister of Canada. I don't think he'd take the pay cut. Or
how about that?
Scott, watching in Estevan, the Energy City, says, how weird was it to see Marchand hugging McDavid multiple times during the celebration in the dressing room? Yeah, I didn't see that. And therefore, I have no comment. Yeah, it is a weird time in life, isn't it? I opened up my email, yahoo.com. I got to get a new email server or another way to get into it because first thing that comes up is the Yahoo News, and it goes, The View staff stunned by latest Trump stunt. Who cares? Has anybody thought of that? Frank, where are you, Frank? Revelstoke, BC. He writes that he says, it was great hockey. Shout out to the referees. They let him play. When's the last time that you saw one penalty in an NHL game? I agree. Tom Wilson for grit, and he also has 24 goals so far this year. And the only penalty was the Trocheck trip, right, which was a black and white call. You're a referee, aren't you, Frank? You're part of the union, that union. And oh my God, we didn't even get to our poll question, which is, do you believe baseball should go to MLB? MLB should go to robotic umpires. Spoiler alert, close to 70% of you people saying no, they should not. So hour 1 was a lot of Canada beating the USA. Hour 2 will have that, but plus the baseball discussion and Jim Barker. Stick around. We'll be right back after this.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, Our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the City of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a fan of Patrick Roy are you? I'm an 11 out of 10, and the literal translation of Roy is king. Part of the reason I love him so much is that we are very similar, and my guess is the book on Patrick Roy would be very similar to what the book is on me. He's uncontrollable. My dad would be proud of that fact.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Here we go. Rocking and rolling into hour 2, our final hour of the week on the RP Show. Hope you're ready for the weekend. I know I am. Moose is there. And, you know, we do this thing called the Quick 6 Show Topics, but we got hung up on one last hour. We're going to move on a little bit here, but it was a very big night. First time in 10 years that we had Canada, USA, best on best. I hate that term because the World Juniors is best on best at that age group, but I digress. The Progressive Insurance text line is open, 902-518-3033. For that matter, Moose, the World Under-18s are best on best. For the age bracket, it's all a little confusing. All you need to know is Canada beat USA 3-2 in overtime. And I got baseball to get to here and football. But I don't know if you saw me saying Johnny O was all worked up this morning. Rod, that PK Subban was on ESPN this morning saying Sidney Crosby's top 3 all time. I've never heard anybody say that. I dissected that myself in my head near the end of hour 1 without you there, Darren. I starting to think maybe PK's right. Would you put him in the top 3? Yeah.
I don't know if I'm quite ready to do that yet, and I don't know who I'm pulling out of the top 3. To me, like, it's Gretzky, yeah, for sure. But it's not just points, right? Points aren't the only thing. Gordie Howe played forever. And did so many different things. You know, Bobby Orr changed the game and changed the position. And you see a little Bobby Orr and Cale Makar when you watch him play and the things that he does, which is pretty wild to see. But Crosby, what a leader. You know, we talk about some of the best leaders in sports and in hockey, and Marc Messier comes up. His name comes up as one of the great leaders, and there's been a lot of them. throughout the game, you know, Yzerman and Sakic and all the rest. But you look at Crosby and what a leader. And they showed him, did you watch going into the overtime? They showed him, that was it, from about his neck up on the bench. And he just stared. I don't think he blinked. He was gunning down the face-off circle on the bench, and he didn't blink. And I'm like, that guy is always dialed in when he's playing for his country or for the Penguins in a big game for that matter. You know, there has been only one Sid in terms of that. I've never seen anything like that. Now I'm aware enough to know that I've only been on this earth for 38 years. So I didn't watch before that. But man, Sid could very well be in that conversation. He's done so many things, and you mentioned the cups, all the international play and competition. All he does is win. Unbelievable player. He'll go down as one of the greats, maybe top 3.
Allie in Texarkana writes in, she says, Sid definitely has carved his place in hockey history. You said something on the lines of he's getting there. I'm sitting here, I'm sure he's thinking too, what more do I got to do? 3 Stanley Cups, 2 Olympic golds, 4 nations faced. There's nothing more. And he's obsessed. He's obsessed. You just said it. He's obsessed with winning. People don't understand. If you kind of care or kind of don't, whether you win or not, you're not going to go too far in whatever your desired field is. And it's interesting because yesterday we did have the general manager of the BC Lions on here, Ryan Rigmaiden, and he talked about Nathan Rourke. And I didn't really realize why the Lions would get rid of Vernon Adams for Nathan Rourke as fast as they did until I was around Nathan Rourke. Now, Vernon Adams is a great guy too, but Nathan Rourke, this seems to be the guy that you are going to win with, and he's obsessed. He's obsessed. Rigmaiden said that Nathan Rourke was out shoveling snow off the Lions practice field so he could go throw routes to one of his receivers when it snowed here last week or 2 weeks ago. Not everybody would do that. Nathan Rourke is obsessed. But only the Lions would know that and the people that have been around him. And you just said we saw it was said on television last night. So anyways, the poll question. Well, hey, before we get to the poll question, guys, the New York Yankees have dropped their ban on beards 49 years after it was imposed by owner George Steinbrenner. Current owner Hal Steinbrenner, son of the boss, announced the change this morning before the team's spring training opener. Hal Steinbrenner says in a statement, quote, "It is the appropriate time to move beyond the familiar comfort of our former policy." As recently as Monday, the Yankees had left reminders on the clubhouse chair of each player to arrive clean-shaven the following morning for photo day, which was ignored by closer Devin Williams. That's just a fun little thing. There are 5 preseason games today, including the Yankees taking on Tampa Bay in Tampa at Steinbrenner Field. But I did not get your take on this. I'm sure I know you're a baseball fan. Sure you played the game. I now work in baseball. Not a big deal. Yesterday was the first time in spring training in MLB history that they used robotic umpires to call balls and strikes. And I would have liked to have had it be the poll question yesterday, but there was a pretty big hockey game yesterday. So I'll ask it now. Should MLB go to robotic umpires permanently? I don't even know what the results were yesterday or what the reaction was. Again, we were all a little busy. But my vote is yes. They should, for one reason only. 2, actually. To get the call right, irrefutably, and 2, to stop the bitching of players, managers, fans, and media. Because if it's robotic and it's black and white, there'd be no reason to complain anymore. And I hate complaining. So my vote is yes, bring it in. You?
My vote is yes. I'm voting yes. But I'm also, again, aware enough to know that this is a bigger conversation. I would need to be in the room with some officials, some players, and talk it out to say, what does it mean? I don't think we need to jump to conclusions and think that this means there's no home plate umpire anymore. They're just not calling the balls and strikes like they used to. Guess what? All of our jobs are being taken away and moving to AI because it's more effective. They're better at it than we are. And it doesn't eliminate, forget about it. It doesn't eliminate you or your job. It frees you up to do something else and contribute more. Now we can do more. It should be better, right? Okay, we're taking away our cashiers at the grocery store. They complain. I get it. We're not taking you away necessarily, and I know people are losing their jobs, but that frees you up to create better customer service throughout the store, more product on the shelves, better ease of service, all other things, or frees you up to provide another service to your community that you can get paid to do. You're going to have to change. Truck drivers are going through it. Driverless trucks are going to be on the road with less accidents, and the truck drivers are going to be replaced. But that frees them up to go do another profession. Same thing with umpires. You can do more. They'll still call for now, safe and out at home plate. Was it tipped for a foul? Things like that. But balls and strikes, there's no need to get this wrong. And I'm with you. There'd be no complaining. Who are you going to complain to? The guy behind the plate's not making the call. So it would be better for the game. It'd be faster, more efficient. I like it.
Somebody tell me, is this the only argument against bringing in robotic umpires? The loss of jobs, for real? We brushed on this yesterday somewhat briefly because it was in the news yesterday. It was being used for the first time, and there were viewers writing in saying, well, how would you like it if there was AI hosting the Rod Pedersen show? I'm like, well, that would never happen because there's only one me. But you know what? I'm not anti-change at all. I understand the concept of progress. I used to rent videos of Blockbuster. I used to take cabs. Sorry. And I'm pretty damn sure the umpires aren't worried about me. I'm sorry. I have an oil man friend who's probably watching right now because he watches every day. It was during COVID when the CFL was losing money hand over fist. And I said, do you feel sorry for the riders? And nobody felt sorry for me when the price of oil went down to $10 a barrel. I was thinking about that. I'm still care about me. I'm sorry. Look at the gold judges for years and years and years. That was a big job for Eldon Lumpy Terry in the Milestone Diesel Dome to be the gold judge. It's a big job back in the day, right? That was a thing with all your coffee buddies. I'm the gold judge at the Saddle Dome for the Flames. Doesn't happen anymore. There's a camera there.
Because you'd get
right, it's gone.
You'd get free coffee, to be the gold judge or whatever. It was a big deal. And you're on the score sheet.
You got a black.
I would challenge everybody when we're thinking about this, to look at the opportunities of it. You want to talk about AI in our business? Sure. We could get AI to read the script and do our sports updates, right? And it would sound to somebody like we're taking away a job. But to me, it's like, okay, that just frees us up to spend more time diving into the topics we want to talk about and doing more work there and making the show better. If we bring AI in to do some sports updates and a few other things, look at the opportunity of it instead of always thinking what it's taken away.
All these things, man. I'm having so much fun. And I got to ask Jim Barker this when he comes in next segment because he said that he was a certified basketball ref too. It was just so much fun doing baseball last summer in the NCAA Collegiate WCBL League. And, there were some NIA players in there too. But the guys just get into the ballpark. It's so much different than football and hockey. It's just so much more relaxed. And the guys are just leaning on the fence, and just complaining about the yums, complaining about last night's game. And finally, me. I'm like, for God's sakes. Can we bring in, they're doing it in the majors, and they're already doing it in the minors. Can we bring it into this league? No, we don't want that. Why not? Well, we don't want to get rid of the human element of the game. Oh, my God. But anyways, when I talk about the relaxed nature, I never did tell you this, and it's 1:11 Eastern, by the way, if that even matters. I'm sure it does.
Beautiful.
Envision a positive ending of your current quagmire. It does work. So we get to the ballpark in Fort Myers, Florida the other day to go watch Florida Gulf Coast play up against Indiana State University because Carter Beck was there, the star of the Saskatoon Berries. Used to date his aunt. We all know the story. I walked right onto the field. Nobody really cared. This might be a surprise to those that don't know me. It'd be no surprise to you, Moose. I walked right onto the field with my big camera. I took it home. I had it here for a while. And this guy, let's just call him the PR guy. That's all I'll say. He was giving me this up and down. Trust me, I know my way around a football field, a hockey ice surface, a baseball diamond. I knew where they're hitting. Tink, tink. They got the aluminum bats in warm-up. And they're launching. I'm curling around the infield, making my way to go see Carterbeck. And this guy's giving me this stink eye. Like, what are you doing? I don't care. I don't have time for PR people. Not today. And anyways, Carter comes jogging in with all the other outfielders. And I said, hey, can we stop for a photo? Carter's like, absolutely. We've been DMing each other regularly since the summertime. So I handed my phone to the PR guy. I'm like, you take a photo of us, please? And the guy was like, okay. You know, it was literally who was that guy? And I don't even know what Carter's answer to that question would be. I don't care. It's pretty relaxed. The PR guy had a problem with it. Trust me, the players and managers didn't even notice. BW writes in and he says, robots can never replace common sense. Yeah, but where the hell's that gone, BW? Are you for real with that? Give me an example where common sense is reigning right now. I can't find it anywhere other than this show. Oh, and before we bring in Jim Barker, if they went 100% like robotic refs in football, I don't think you could do it in football. And I haven't thought about hockey, but football, how do you call a hold from a robot? It's not like strikes, or was he safe or was he not, right?
No, it's very tough. I'm sure there's probably a way. Nothing's impossible, but it would be very hard to do in the camera angles. But maybe we're going to get there one day. I don't know, but not yet when it comes to football.
Yeah, I cannot see that ever happening. Carlos in Indianapolis writes, and he says, robot AI programmed umps will get calls wrong due to bugs and glitches, just like in video games. Great, then it'll be really realistic. On the Bedard for Team Canada thing, Bradley is watching in Calgary. He writes in and he says, Bedard could be on the team next year because they can take more players, and the Olympics with international referees actually calling penalties, skill wins. That's fair. I'm just saying I didn't think he would be on this year's team. He was not on this year's team, and that conversation is for months down the line. I appreciate it, but if it was the same format and all the rest, now he is not going next year either. So, but thank you, Bradley. Moose, I think that's it. Any last word from you?
No. Enjoy the weekend. And I know in Canada we're going to enjoy it. We'll live on this win for a while, at least until the Olympics come in February. So congratulations to everybody in Canada, and have a great weekend, RP.
Thanks a lot, Moose. It is a football Friday. As you see, we've been talking a lot of hockey and baseball so far with a few football notes, but we'll get deep into it with Jim Barker next. If you have CFL questions, fire them my way on the Progressive Insurance text line 902-518-3033, because at this moment I don't have a lot. But we'll get them from you. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting, or wherever the best podcast.
Sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. more speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
There has been a lot of audience participation today, and we like that. By the way, Hour 2 is brought to you by Culligan Water. Clear water, clear choice. Filter out the bad and taste the good. Culligan Water of Regina. Check them out at culliganregina.com. Home of the Rough Riders. It is a Football Friday. Please welcome in five-time Grey Cup champion Jim Barker. Hey, Coach, welcome back to the program. If you don't mind, you mentioned that you ref basketball for so long. Did you see our conversation about robotic umpires in baseball by chance that were debuted yesterday?
Actually, it was baseball that I did first. I had my own association, baseball association, and I'm probably the youngest person at this point in history to ever umpire an NCAA Division I baseball game when I worked UCLA back when I was 18 years old. It's, to me, the whole, I think I disagree completely with you and Darren, and it comes down to what we talked about in football. So much of officiating is understanding flow of the game, and the game flows when you have a well officiated game, and that goes for balls and strikes that you don't notice. You know, you notice when you watch a game, but when you have a pitcher who's right on and he's nibbling corner and he's pitching phenomenally, that pitch that might be just a hair outside the box, he's going to get a strike on that. Where that pitcher who is all over the yard, he's not going to get that same pitch. Now, that's considered flow of the game. That's how I think when you go to robotics, when every single pitch that hits right on that little hair outside the box is a ball, you lose a lot of what baseball is all about. And I completely disagree with the whole robotic umpires. I think baseball, I'm fortunate. I got a chance to watch Billy Martin and go after umpires. And yeah, is that wrong? Does it waste time? Maybe. but that's part of what makes the game beautiful. Having George Brett, now that happened to do over a bat, but, throw bats out on the that stuff is part of the game. And arguing with umpires is part of the game. It just, I don't know. To me, the whole efficiency of robotics turned the game into like watching somebody play a video game. Have you watched the golf thing? You watch the golf thing and it's a video game, and I just can't. This whole thing they're doing in the simulators, I just can't get into it. It's just not real to me, and that's to me what would happen if they did not use people to umpire baseball games and football. It's impossible. We talked about it because contact on a guy running a pass route and contact between a DB and a receiver, sometimes it's pass interference, but sometimes it's not. And you can have contact and it's still not pass interference because he's not gaining an advantage. And it's the same thing in baseball. You have those same kinds of situations, especially calling balls and strikes. And again, when you have a very adept pitcher, that pitch that's a ball for one guy is a strike for the other guy because the other guy has set that up much better than the other pitcher. So again, I just think that I hate it. It will. Again, I'm getting toward the end of the road here. I'm in the last quarter of my life probably, and I hope when they do it, it's after I'm gone because it would be difficult. It would really be difficult for me. I'm a huge I was a college baseball coach for 8 years. Like I say, when I graduated from high school, I was going to go to umpire school with Harry Wendelstedt in Florida. That was what I loved doing. And ended up going to college and then, coaching football, and the rest is what it is. But I got to disagree with you and Darren.
That's why we make great television. But they're doing it, and they're doing it. And as they're saying, the umpires aren't going anywhere, but with the robotic calls of balls and strikes, managers will have the opportunity to challenge pitches. So for their own reasons, they are doing it. I asked the viewers for questions, as you saw, and we got some Stampeders fans that have written in, and I'm going to roll their questions into one. Ted in Red Deer says, hey, Coach Barker, Dave Dickinson has cleared out the quarterback room, moved on from Killam and Monson. Massive changes. How do you see them? And also, Jeff, the Stamps fan, wants to know what you think they should do with the number 1 pick. If they were to trade it, who should they get? So a Calgary response, if you don't mind.
Well, Calgary they're in a unique situation. It's interesting that basically Saskatchewan picked up their entire quarterback room. Jake Mayer and Tommy Stevens both went to Saskatchewan to back up Trevor Harris. And I thought that was interesting. Calgary did nothing in free agency. They signed Fraser Sopik, Damon Webb from Ottawa, Tevin Jones, a receiver who was in Edmonton. That was all they did, which again surprised me because they did go out and get Flo Arimolade, which gives them as good a pass rusher as is in the league. Bob Sopik's going to step in for Brent Monson, and I think Bob Sopik is a smart football coach. He's coached in the NFL. He's been around. He's an older guy. Again, they lose Mike Rose inside. They've got a lot of holes. The one that surprised me was Sean McEwen. Now, Sean McEwen had a bad year this year. There's no doubt about that. And he was one of the highest paid offensive linemen in the league. He took a lot less, and he's now going to be in Saskatchewan. That one surprised me because they're, I believe, weak on the offensive line and have been. Yeah, they've had a lot of injuries there. There's no doubt they've had a lot of injuries. But And there wasn't a plethora of offensive linemen out there, but there was a few in free agency. Even a Liam Dobson from Winnipeg, is a guy that was out. Sean McEwen was out there. I didn't see them address any of their needs. My prediction with their first pick, now they lost their first pick, Cole Tucker, from a few years ago, a receiver. could be a receiver. But the best receiver in the draft, in my opinion, now Damian Alford, who was at Syracuse, then went and basically from Utah, he's 6'6" receiver out of Montreal. He just came into the draft, and I have not evaluated him, but I've evaluated all the rest of them at that position. I'm getting through everybody so that we can be the expert here on your show, Rod. So, but it's there's a young guy named Keelan White who is at Montana that I think is a receiver who can step right in and play right now. I believe they may go that direction. They got to get offensive linemen, though. Now, again, looking at the draft, there's not a lot of them there. The two best defensive linemen are probably going to be NFL guys. We'll know more as we get into pro days and workouts. But I think Calgary's in big trouble, to be honest with you. Now, Vernon Adams brings a little different spice to them. They went out and got Dominique Rhymes. But, can Vernon Adams make up that big of a difference? And I think they're in big trouble. I think I'd pick them at the bottom of that division right now.
What's on your calendar here? What are you most excited about? Obviously, the Combine's coming up, and then the UFL kickoff. We do have fans of that league that watch this show. But you've never really said that you're the biggest fan of it. You watch it, but I think you said last year you question why you watch it.
I do watch it because there's players there that are eventually going to be in our league. Our league, the CFL, is much more of a make a living type of league. That's a league of play for a year and then get in the NFL or your career's over. And it's not a league you're going to play for 4 or 5 years in. And I just think that's Darnell Sankey. He made that note when he came up here. He said, I came up because this is a career league. You can make a career here. And now the money has gotten much better up here. Most guys, once they establish themselves, are making 6 figures up here. So, it's a much better option than the UFL. I'll watch it because there'll be players there who will eventually come up here. There'll be players who have been here, I'm sure, that will play there because they're having trouble getting as many players now with the whole NIL thing, which is keeping players in college longer. They're not going out and trying to make that move. They're staying in college where they can still make some money. And so that's going to affect a league like the UFL. I've got next Friday, I'll be with you, but from the regional combine in Waterloo, where it's an invitational where the CFL invites people not going to the regular one, and there'll be six players out of that probably that get invited to the National Combine in Regina in March. So I'll be at that next Friday, and I look forward to the regular combine and getting ready for the draft. It's one of the great things TSN is I get to, I've been on the draft show the last few years. Hopefully I'm on it again, but is getting a chance. I prepare just like I'm a GM. And I put together all the reports and that type of thing. And that's why, it's kind of interesting for people who follow both drafts. There's a young guy out of LSU named Pedersen Shand out of Toronto, played basketball in Toronto, 6'5" defensive end, who is going to be one of those guys who's maybe a 4th round, 5th round pick. We also have Curtis Rourke. What's going to happen with Curtis Rourke in the NFL? And then how that affects his CFL standing. Rod, the CFL draft is the most beautiful thing to follow in the world because of the whole NFL thing. And then you can't tell whether or not you're successful probably for 3 or 4 years. And if that guy's still in the NFL, then that was an unsuccessful pick. You kind of are throwing the dice that this guy's going to get cut. Like I say, Pedersen Shand is a guy that I just watched this morning out of LSU, that he's going to be an NFL guy. Now, how high he's going to be, he's still green. He played 3 years at Arizona, then transferred to LSU, but 6'5" and has all those things NFL teams want. He's physical. He really grew up going to LSU. So what's going to happen with him, and what does that do to him in the CFL. And then there's a guy named Ali Saad from Bowling Green, who's a big 290-pound defensive lineman who can do a lot of things. He is really an impressive player. He's been playing on the edge at Bowling Green. He would be an inside player here. I'm not sure what he'll be in the NFL. I'm guessing he'll be down inside, but because their defensive end guys are becoming more like ours in the CFL. So, he's another guy who's going to be one of those interesting. He'll be a priority free agent. Will he sign for enough money that it makes him not desirable in the CFL? Those are the kind of things that, to me, for fans who are really into watching these kind of things develop, it's I think it's a fascinating thing. And I also have to also say, last night it was probably the first time in my life that I was cheering for Canada, and when that goal went in, I actually yelled out. I don't do that stuff. I yelled out in joy that Canada had beaten the U.S. in hockey. And it was, as a U.S. citizen who's also a Canadian citizen, first time that's ever happened. And again, why that is, I don't know. The turmoil, the buzz about that game, and whoever came up with that concept, genius. And it worked out. It was absolutely a beautiful thing. It was what sports are supposed to be. It's one of the best sporting events that I've ever watched. It just, period. I mean, you could take World Series, Super Bowls, Grey Cups. That event, which they were playing for nothing but pride, but you're seeing guys going all out. I mean, that Brady Tkachuk guy, I don't know. I don't know hockey and these players real well because I leave that to you guys. I don't deal with the hockey. But watching those guys play and putting their hearts on the line, I mean, guys like Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid. I mean, that you're talking about guys who are the best in the world at what they do in a game that really they're playing for nothing but their country. Now that is what is exciting. It wasn't like there was $1 million to the, maybe there wasn't. I'd like to go on believing, so if there was, don't tell me. But I want to believe that there was no $1 million to the winning team and nothing to the losing team. Because that, to me, was the essence of what sport is all about. And if they could have more events that are like that it was just a beautiful thing.
Your brother John Barker's watching, writes in, he says, I was also rooting for Canada. Does that surprise you?
It does. He's never been in Canada. I mean, he comes up to visit me, but I think a lot of the Americans that I know were rooting for Canada because it's like hockey is Canada. Canada's hockey, and again, it's like it's just not right. That, I mean, they can come out, do all the other things they're talking about, do whatever politically and that type of thing, but they can't take hockey away. We're still, doesn't matter. Put whatever you want out there. Canada is the leader in hockey. In the game that mattered, they stepped up and they got a win. And that's exciting. So good for my brother. I'm glad he's jumped on board.
Well, you all have seen that it means way more to Canada than it does to the U.S. Every other sport means more to the U.S., but you're right, it's ours, and my phone's been blowing up with my U.S. friends with this. Kudos, congratulations, which is very, very classy of them. So, Jim, thank you for this. We'll talk to you next week from Waterloo.
Very good.
CFL on TSN's Jim Barker. Let's get these comments rolling. Progressive Insurance text line is open, 902-518-3033. Literally whatever you would like to talk about the rest of the way. And the streaming chat as well. We got a sports update coming up, viewer takeover. We're broadcasting in both Canada and the U.S. See why we want to get along with both places? Streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Ladies and germs, transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information, emjmarketing.com. And while you're at it, why don't you sign up for the Rod Squad newsletter today? Stay ahead of the game with exclusive insights, updates, contests, and exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox. Best of all, it's free. You can sign up by clicking the tab at the top of rodpedersen.com. The award-winning 10 Weekend Things column is in it, along with a lot of very tasty tidbits. You want the sports update or viewer takeover?
How about that?
Let's see what the viewers are saying. Let's see what the viewers are saying, because our market research has told us the viewers love the most the interaction with the host. 902-518-3033 from all over North America. Here on Game Plus Television, talking about Canada's 3-2 win in overtime over the USA last night. Gary from Winnipeg writes, and he says, I wish everyone would simply enjoy the win. It is not productive to engage in the what-if discussion. If my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. Have a great weekend and enjoy the Scotties. Hurry hard. Signed, Gary from Winnipeg. Ron in Calgary writes in. He says, hey, Rod, last night's game will go down as top 2 ever played. I wouldn't say we were lucky to have won, but it was as close as it gets. As hockey fans, we should be grateful for the even parity of talent. My brain's tired, not parity. Oh, you spelled it wrong. That's what it is. It is parody, not like a comedic parody. Parody in terms of even. Autocorrect got you. He said, this is the greatest sport formula ever. I'm a happy Canadian hockey fan today. This is what I was thinking about in the break. And I don't like being different from everybody else, but I also asked for it. I'm enjoying watching the euphoria that's gone along with my Canadian brethren hockey fans with their team winning. It would have really sucked, had they lost. Oh, I don't even want to think about it. I don't. But you know what it is? It's gone along with the 21 hours of CBT that I had some years ago now. Cognitive behavioral therapy thinking. It's not crazy. CBT, it's called. It doesn't mean I'm nuts. It's just the way you think. Not allowing the results of a sporting event to dictate my mood. I know. Crazy, huh? Just stay. There are things that make me happy and sad, but sports results aren't those. But that's just me. Gord writes in, Ryder Gord in Devon, Alberta. And he says, Connor Bedard may or may not be there in the Olympics, but a consideration with him is his speed and talent on a bigger ice surface. His defensive play has to improve also. He's not that fast. Nobody's ever said he's that fast. Everybody thought he was the next McDavid coming up, and then they saw him, and I think initially they were disappointed, but he's not that same player. But I'll tell you what, you put the puck on Bedard's stick in the slot like McDavid had last night, he's going to bury it too. But with him, it's, to me, the bigger ice, I don't think will be a factor whether he's on the team or not. David number 1 writes in. From Winnipeg. No, he's Dave number 3. Number 1, we're talking about the umpires, robotic umpires in Major League Baseball. Should they or shouldn't they? And David number 3 in Winnipeg writes in and he says, robotic refs can't take bribes. Aha. And then he says, thought of you the other day, as you're a Cowboys fan. The other day, the family and I watched the movie Invincible with Mark Wahlberg on Disney.
How about that?
The first regular season game the Eagles played was versus your Cowboys at the old stadium. Texas Stadium, that was quite a place. And Invincible, chronicling the story of Vince Papale, or was it Vince? Yeah, Vince Papale. Now that was a hell of a movie. Philadelphia is now on bucket list 2 for me. Again, Mydale Mike, if you're watching in Hawaii, you've inspired me to create a second bucket list because I checked off everything on my first one. I said, what do you do, Mike, when you've done everything on your bucket list? He goes, make a new list. And I'd never been to Philadelphia. I'm getting more and more and more friends from Philadelphia, those that live there now and those that are here in South Florida and are from there, and they talk about it like it's the greatest place. Rocky on the Rocky Steps, Flyers, obviously, Eagles, Sixers. There seems to be a lot to do there, a lot of history, Liberty Bell. Yeah, Philadelphia. Do it. BW writes in and says, the Scotties are on? I've been thawing out my water well for the past 3 days. Yes, they're in Thunder Bay, and the playoffs begin today. You're welcome. John Barker, Jim's brother, writes in, and he says, as an American, I am not proud of the decisiveness that our leaders have. Oh, yeah. Autocorrect has taken down a lot of our viewers today. As an American, I am not proud of the divisiveness that our leaders have created with Canada. Canada is hockey. I think that's kind of where I'm at with you, John. It's just disappointing. You know, Trudeau took a shot. Well, was it a shot at Trump after the game last night? He's like, hockey's our game and you're not taking our country. Something like that. It's like, JT, did you actually think that he's going to? Here's the one thing you should do, as I've learned, with a bully, which Donald Trump is a bully. Well, two things. Punch him right in the nose, but you're probably not going to do that. That's for the schoolyard. So ignore them. Can we all ignore Trump? Can we ignore him? Maybe he'll shut up. My guess is he will. We will take a timeout, and if you got more comments, make them good. We'll be right back with Overtime after this here on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcast.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
It's a little thing we call overtime. Ladies and gentlemen, and more importantly, kids, Achieve your hockey goals at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. I'm telling you, it's the place to go. Not the best, the only place to go. With state-of-the-art shooting lanes, top-notch equipment. It's the ultimate training destination for players of all ages and skill levels. Whether you're prepping for the big game or you just want to have fun, office parties, birthday parties, team building sessions. My God, there's enough hockey teams around Southern Alberta. You're going to want to check this out. 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. You can check out their website at overtimehl.ca. Here is a sports update for our good friends at Heavy Gym. If you know Tony over there at Heavy Gym, stop in and say, hey, see your advertising on the RP show. Way to go. Canada's 3-2 overtime victory over the USA in the championship game of the Four Nations face-off set single-game hockey betting records. BetMGM Sportsbook said the game Thursday night was the most bet-on hockey game in its history. It was 2.5 times greater than any NHL game this season. Betting also was strong throughout the tournament. 5 of the games were among the 7 most wagered on hockey games this season. And see, why the hell not? It's Friday. In about 1 hour's time, a little over an hour's time, I'll be doing an interview with somewhere Global. I was with Global Toronto yesterday. Maybe it's Global Toronto again. I'm not sure. I got to check it when I get off the air here. But when I did this interview yesterday, the host, she said, she was in Toronto, I know that. And she says, Canada, USA tonight will be the most watched hockey game ever. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe it is. At least we'll find out soon. But that's what you want, is the hype. You want the buzz. That's what created all of this. Just hype. Thanks, of course, to Trump and Trudeau getting involved in all that. But that is what you want as a league. You want it as a show. You want it. And it really annoys me because we've got people writing in here, or we have this week, saying, hey, Rod, any news on the CFL commissioner search? Ask the insiders, brah. Psst. It's a secret. Former NFL star Clinton Portis has been named Deshaun Jackson's running backs coach and run game coordinator at Delaware State. The Hornets announced Portis' hiring on social media. Portis joins Jackson, Norfolk State coach Michael Vick, and Tennessee State coach Eddie George in taking jobs at historically black universities. Portis was 2002 NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year for Denver and rushed for just under 10,000 yards in 9 NFL seasons with the Broncos and Washington. Former NBA player Michael Carter-Williams is hoping to get a WNBA franchise in Boston, whether it's through expansion or bringing in a current team that wants to move. He's part of the Boston Women's Basketball Partners Group that is spearheading the initiative. The WNBA has already announced 3 expansion teams that will start play over the next 2 years, with Golden State beginning this season and Toronto and Portland starting in 2026. The sports update is for Heavy Gym. They're the gym that's not just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. I haven't checked the update lately on the poll results. I got a pretty good idea of where it's going, close to 70%. Last I looked at people saying, no, they don't think Major League Baseball should go to robotic umpires. And it's quite interesting. Bomber Boy has written in with quite a few comments here, so I couldn't go back and find where the specific one was. But he said, big surprise, the old man is against progress. Jim Barker. You can also see why Jim Barker's had so much success and longevity, because his voice is a loud one. A lot of times, the loudest voice in the room wins. I don't make the rules. I don't like it. I don't agree with you and Moose. We're not arguing here. He just feels differently. MLB's bringing it in anyways. So. Jeff, the Stamps fan, with a rhetorical question. He says, would the fans rather have their team win the Four Nations Cup or see their team win the Stanley Cup? It, of course, is the Stanley Cup. It's odd. It's kind of hard to figure out. Jack Eichel of Team USA said going into Thursday's game, it's the biggest game he's ever played in, yet he won a Stanley Cup with Vegas. I think he got caught up in the moment. It's just a dang hockey tournament. That's all that it was. BW from Edmonton writes in, he says, hashtag squirrel moment. I saw your new glasses. Thought you were radio announcer Sterling Fox. LOL. Did you know that my parents were going to name me, my mom wanted to name me Sterling. My dad overruled it. He didn't have the biggest voice in the room a lot of days. That day he did. Nope, we're not doing Sterling Pedersen. Arlen Bruce III writes in, says, great morning, RP. Congratulations, Canada, A. I love you all, Canadians, because you all stick together. McDavid is a lightning bolt. Also, did Canada invent football, hockey, and basketball? I don't think we invented football, but hockey and basketball, yes. James Naismith. Tony in Cochrane, Alberta, writes that he says, bring on the Briar. Can't stand the women screaming all the time. To be honest, it doesn't really bother me, but I also raised 3 girls. I raised 3 girls. I have a very great ability to block it out. Ted in Red Deer writes in, he says, great shows this week, Rod Squad. Guests that actually have a different opinion. What a concept. Yeah, I know. I know. What are we going to do about that? Oh, Vintage Sasko wrote in, where the heck? It's down here. He said, Reverend Rod, what's the next big sporting event that you're looking forward to with these ones behind? I'm looking forward to a nap. And then the Kraken and the Panthers tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to not going anywhere. See you Monday, everybody.
That's the secret sauce.